future, and they're pot committed to Trevor Lawrence, and as they should be. At the age of 24, he's played a lot of good football. He's still got better football, I think, ahead of him. Josh Hines Allen, Foye Oluokun, Tyson Campbell all getting extensions. The stadium deal getting approved with the team and the mayor's office, and then the city council signing off on it, and still waiting for the final approval from the league in October. But, Brian, that and the usual suspects of the draft and free agency and all that comes with it. And, you know, the burning desire to prove that they are not the team that lost 5 of their last 6 last year.
I've been saying all offseason, Mike, that they left their postseason news conferences, right? Doug was right after the season. Trent waited until closer to the Super Bowl with a long to-do list of things that they needed to get done. And before we start hearing from some of these guys, my thought is they checked off most of those boxes. Now, you can say, well, they need a third pass rusher, or they could have got more depth on the offensive line. And those are things we're going to talk about throughout the preseason. But for the most part, you mentioned contracts, you mentioned stadium. All of those things fell into place. It felt like a consequential offseason, like they got enough things done that you can rebuild, renew the energy in this building about what this season can be.
And I probably buried the lead. Throwback uniforms on top of that, which is probably the most fan base pleasing moment that we've had this offseason.
My kids just went nuts for that, and I wish that I had saved 30 years, 20 years of those uniforms.
Right.
Not quite 20 years of those uniforms. I had so much stuff. I should have saved it. I didn't. I just kind of gave it away through the years.
Around, man.
Oh, man. It's killing me to see what things are going for. And, of course, my kids are killing me for that. But the first throwback game, we know for sure, is coming up in early October, and that's going to be off the chain.
Yeah, no doubt. Indianapolis Colts coming to town, and fans going crazy for a vintage uniform. And I think they want to feel like that era of football excellence is coming back. It was the best era of Jaguar football.
The golden age.
The golden age. And will this be the new golden age? I think a lot of the pieces are in place, and I think the re-signing of a lot of their own guys, and by this time, Foye Oluokun is one of their guys, but a lot of their own draft picks this offseason is, you heard Shad Khan say, we can't be a team that lives in free agency anymore.
Not anymore.
You got to supplement in free agency. You're always going to have to do that to some degree. Mitch Morse was a big pickup. Eric Armstead, a big pickup, and others. Ronald Darby looks like a fantastic pickup.
Yeah, he's had a good camp so far. We're going to get into some of these sounds, but I'm getting ready to go over and get ready for the telecast tonight, right, for the CBS 47 broadcast. And so I had a production meeting with Doug yesterday, our production team did, and he used 2 words. And I want to touch on those when we have time in this next hour: change and develop. And that second word in particular, with the contracts they awarded, you have to develop players. Coaches have these players in their meeting rooms. They have to develop them. That's a storyline we're going to watch all season long. In particular, the draft class of 2023, there's a lot of guys who they're counting on. Tank Bigsby, Brenton Strange, Cooper Hodges, Christian Braswell. There are a number of guys from that class. Anton Harrison. Those guys have to develop. That's the way that you build a roster when you put the contracts on the table for the star players.
Well, that's the thing, right? You can't. Not everyone can be paid top of the market money.
No.
And you've pot committed now to a number of those guys, so it's going to be more difficult in the seasons ahead to do that. Even though the Jags, by the way, got to say, it's phenomenal cap shape.
Oh, yeah.
Considering all the money that they laid out this offseason.
Trent Baalke and his team, I think, have done a masterful job of putting pieces in place. And as Doug said yesterday, now it's on him and his coaches to go and make the most of it.
Just go ahead and call it a Baalke masterclass, Brian. I know you want to.
He's finally getting some credit.
He is.
For some of the things that he's done.
It's been hard for his critics to be too critical this offseason. Really,
that's a good way to put it.
The one thing that they hang their hat on is the timing of the Josh Allen contract. If you could have gotten it done and had the franchise tag at your disposal and utilized it on Calvin Ridley, but who's to say that Calvin Ridley at $20+ million a year is going to be better than Brian Thomas will be, plus the money left over to allocate to other resources?
I think one of the reasons why they're in good cap shape is they didn't allocate $20 million to Calvin Ridley, and instead they went young. They got young, and they got Tyson Campbell done. And I would argue on the other side is Andre Sisco had a tremendous year last year and had a tremendous practice week this week. He looks like a guy you'd like to get done. Walker Little is a guy that if he steps up, and I heard he has had a great offseason, he's a guy you'd like to get done, and you can't keep everybody. So maybe the master class is a little more masterful than people think.
Look,
we'll see.
There's a lot of turnover every year, though, and we'll worry about, what are they going to do at left tackle with Walker Little or Cam Robinson next year? We'll worry about that next year. Right now, I think they feel like they put the plan together that they envisioned. We'll find out if it's good enough pretty soon.
Every year stands in and of itself. All right, let's hear from Doug Pederson. At this point of camp, he's looking at young guys being able to get on the field tonight and contribute, and that takes them fighting through the grind. Okay. You know, this is an adventure with me every year, Mike. I'm not the most technical guy, but let me reopen the portal here and see if now it works.
You know, it's just a mindset. It really is. It's their mental. I do what I can to try to take care of their bodies in the afternoons and the way the schedule is set up, but it's them becoming a pro and what it means to be a pro, how to take care of their bodies, what it means to get rest at night, what it means to hydrate or eat, study when they're tired, you know, and that's the process that they have to learn, because it's probably more of that mental grind, especially when your body gets tired. They wear down mentally a little bit, and the ones that can really stay mentally strong really find a way to kind of push through it.
You know, let me be clear. I would have rather the Jags won one more game last year, won the division, gone to the postseason. But the fact that they didn't, I think, is driving a lot of this kind of talk that we're hearing about right here. For the returning players, they were sitting there on Monday Night Football at 8-3, chance to be the number one seed in the AFC, at least temporarily, and felt like they let that game get away against the Bengals and then just were only able to win one more game down the stretch. And they realized they had a potentially special season slip through their fingers. So I do think there is a lot more internal self-motivation going on. And that's kind of what Doug Pederson's talking about. You've got to become a pro. I can only take you so far. You've got to meet me there and take it to the next level.
Doug told Bucky and Brent Martineau and myself at our meeting last night, he still has not come to terms with the way that last season ended. And then a little bit later, we talked to Trevor Lawrence, who said, Doug can only take us so far. It's now on us, the players, to be able to get that done. We'll hear from him in just a moment. Let's hear from Press Taylor, front and center. He knows this team has got to be more physical. They've got to be better up front. The general manager said it. The coach said it. Now he is looking at a reconstructed offensive line with Mitch Morse in the middle, and he was asked this week, are you ready to be a more physical team?
You know, that's something we think we're heading in the right direction. That's something I don't know if you necessarily know until it's live action and we're playing football. But we're encouraged about where we're heading with that aspect of our game and our unit as well. So, you know, that's something we want to see continue to develop as we get rolling.
I have to tell you, I think this has been a very physical training camp so far, as physical as it can be in today's day and age, where you're not always live. What's your perception of it been to date?
Well, I'm glad you asked that because I had this conversation with Tom McManus yesterday, who joins me every week. You know, he's in every Friday with us on Jaguars Today. And Tom and I are out at camp comparing notes, but I usually have to leave by the time all the team stuff is starting because I got to get on the air at 10 a.m. Tom has stayed for a lot of that, and he has been hypercritical about training camps in recent seasons, about how they're not preparing these guys for the physical toll that they're going to have to face, and he loves what he's seeing right now. So, you know, I'm reading it more through his eyes and other observers' eyes, but it does seem like there's been more attention. They threw him right into red zone right away. Constricted area. They got into, you know, as you said, team, full pads, tackle to the ground earlier than they did last year. There's been more of that along the way. So I think they realized, I mean, you know, Mitch Morse had a great grade as a run blocker this year. They didn't change much else on the offensive line. They're counting on renewed health and continuity and Morse's presence in there. But that's going to be one of the things, Brian, I don't know if we can answer how good that group is going to be until we get to the Miami game.
And I know people are going to want to look at the passing game and Brian Thomas and Trevor Lawrence and what that all does. But last year, this team could not convert on 3rd down and 3 yards or less on a consistent basis at all. They were below 35% at that. And you know what that did? It disrupted drives. It killed continuity. It took away the ability to start stacking plays and dictating the action the way that you'd like to do with a hot young quarterback. It just, everything fell apart.
Did Travis Etienne become a much worse player, going from 5.2 yards a carry to less than 4? I mean, that right there tells you everything. Travis Etienne was eluding multiple tacklers in the backfield on a lot of occasions. Some of his best runs got back to the line of scrimmage. So that is one thing tonight. I hope they get into 1 or 2 short yardage situations when that first team offense is on there. That, more than anything, is what I'd like to see tonight. Running up the A-gap between Morse and Sheriff, which, by the way, the 2 old guys have been the 2 healthiest guys on that offensive line this training camp.
Both the coach and the general manager are hoping for those situations as well. One of the other things that got done, big things on the to-do list, was a new defensive coordinator. I've been highly impressed with the communication ability of this guy. Ryan Nielsen says what he thinks and what he wants, and his team has responded. I think the defense has been very good. They've had the advantage in most training camp practices. You can just see the speed with which they play. And this week, he was asked, about his disaffinity for a depth chart. He doesn't like it. He wants to mix things up. He wants to give everybody an evaluation and see how you play next to Trayvon Walker or Foye Oluokun, no matter what your name is or what school you came from. And he was asked once again, you're not much of a depth chart guy, are you?
Depth chart is etched in sand. So it can change, really, it could be game to game, playing time. I mean, we take this thing, we've talked about this, it's a one day at a time. Every single day counts, every rep counts. Doesn't matter who that rep is against, we're evaluating that player for what he's done on that particular rep on tape. That matters, in every aspect of the program. So yeah, if the first one comes out, yeah, it's the first one. You have to put the name somewhere, right? Yeah, it's something you have to do. Probably look for a different depth chart the next time, because this game will be, move some guys around.
These players love this guy. They really enjoy playing for him.
Yeah, every defensive coordinator, find me one that gets hired, doesn't say, we're going to be more aggressive, right? But they really, now that they've gotten a chance to see what the system's about, all the players are saying, oh, that's exactly what he is promised and is delivering right now. Trayvon Walker is practically gushing about the fact he doesn't have to drop in coverage anymore. The shift to the primary 4-3, I think, is going to help a guy like him who could play multiple positions along that defensive front. And granted, all right, the depth chart is drawn in sand to a degree. There's certain pillars in that sand that are going to stand, that Josh Hines, Allen, Foye Oluokun, Tyson Campbell, and probably several others that we could name, but that those guys, it doesn't really matter where you write their name down. They're the core of your defense.
You're only going to have 26 or 27 guys on defense by the time you get the final 53 put together. So you are somewhat limited. By the way, more physical. That defense, Trayvon Walker not dropping back, he weighs 285, he told me yesterday. He played at 270 last season. So he's put on 15 pounds, which tells you that they're going to feel comfortable moving him inside.
No doubt.
Into pass rushing situations where they can create advantages for him. One final thought, it's Kansas City. The Chiefs are here, the two-time defending Super Bowl champs. It's just the preseason. The starters are only going to play 2 series, 10, 12 plays, maybe the first quarter, but the quarterback still wants to play well.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have an opportunity to go out there and play and they're keeping score and I'm not wearing a red jersey, I think there's a little extra on it, and you want to play well and you want to perform and you want to win. I mean, that's bottom line. Preseason game, whatever, you still want to win, and it's a good challenge for us. They're going to play their guys too, so it'll be a good challenge for us and see how we stack up early. Obviously, it's preseason 1. There's a long ways to go before week 1, but I think it is important to kind of test yourself and see how you look against a team that has been the standard the past few years, and
he has a light in his eye about this first game. I think he's got something to prove.
Oh, well,
just to go play well, because he's not had the most consistent camp.
He does have things to prove, right? I mean, he's being paid at the top of the league now among quarterbacks in terms of average annual value on new money on his deal. And he hasn't been that quarterback so far in the National Football League. And that's not a knock on Trevor. He's got the ability to put himself in that camp. But, when you talk about wanting to win, I think winning is much more defined by when Lawrence and Mahomes leave the game, what does the scoreboard look like? Because if the Jags are up 10-0 and lose this thing 27-24, I'm not really going to worry about it that much, And if it's the reverse and we come back in the second half with a lot of guys who won't make this team,
you're not always impressed.
You're not, exactly.
Winning and losing is not the scoreboard. It's how you feel about yourself.
How the ones versus the ones look, I think, is the most telling thing.
All right, Jags fans, are you Duval enough to become the Jags 2024 Fan of the Year and earn a trip to the Super Bowl? Visit NFL.com/Fan of the Year and nominate someone today when we come back.
It is tough. He's been the captain on special teams for us. So he is a guy that it's tough to replace.
That is special teams coordinator Heath Farwell talking about Dewey. Also, we'll talk about the new kickoff, plus Pete Prisco when we return here to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub-platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Want to make sure he gets to the game on time? Tommy, your uniform is ready. Let's go.
Install a natural gas dryer, and you're guaranteed faster drying times and softer laundry. And now you can earn a valuable cash rebate up to $200 on an energy-efficient natural gas dryer. Show your home love with natural gas, and it loves you right back. To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
The creamiest, dreamiest, soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softy. For refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softy. The milkshakes and the sundaes and the cones are such a treat. Look out for the ice cream stand, enjoy it from your seat. The creamiest, dreamiest, soft ice cream you get from Mr. Softy. For refreshing delight supreme, look for Mr. Softy. S-O-F-T-E-E, Mr. Softy.
It's storm season, and JEA is committed to keeping you informed. In the event of a storm, we'll text and email you about the status of your services. We use Facebook and Twitter to post real-time updates. Our live outage map on JEA.com lets you track restoration progress. And as crews work to restore services, our storm outreach team will be in local neighborhoods to answer your questions. Because as your community utility, JEA is here to keep you safe and connected. Your community, your utility.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
Hey fans, it's Tyson Campbell, cornerback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. This season, your game day is getting even tastier with Al's Pizza in the stadium. And every time we get a pick, you'll score. If the Jaguars get one interception, you'll enjoy buy one, get one free pizza at any Al's Pizza location Monday through Thursday after the home game. 2 interceptions, a free dessert. And 3 interceptions, that's a free appetizer. Just tell them you want the Jags pick. Up your game and get your Al's Pizza at the game or any of their locations.
Welcome back to the Publix Tailgate Show from the Hyundai Studios inside the Miller Electric Center. Brian Sexton along with Mike Dempsey. Jags and Chiefs kickoff at 7 o'clock. All right, you talked to Pete Prisco. He was here last week. What do you got for us?
Well, we get into a lot of X's and O's, a lot of football stuff, and there are some things we can answer now and some things we're going to have to see play out. But, we leaned into the enthusiasm of the fan base right now, coming off a disappointing end to the season. As we talked about earlier, Brian, they set up so many mileposts that they were able to achieve this offseason that give you that enthusiasm heading into the year. And I started off with Pete, just seeing if he thinks the team can ride that wave.
No doubt about it, Mike. It's been a good offseason for Jacksonville. And look, they've done a lot of good things in terms of the football roster, and now you just got to go out there and play. And got to be better than you were a year ago. They won 9 games. You think by the way some people talk that they were 6 and whatever and didn't play very well. But they won 9 games, and they still weren't as good as I think they're going to be this year. So there should be a lot of optimism, and I think they're going to live up to that.
I don't know if you can answer this. I don't know if anyone can answer this, Pete. I don't know if we'll find out today the answer to this. But a big question Jaguar fans have is, did they do enough to improve an offensive line, which was a sore spot for them? Obviously, Mitch Morse coming in is seen as a big upgrade over Luke Fortner right now. What's your opinion about how they handled the offensive line in the offseason?
Well, I think, like most teams, they have questions at some of those spots. And I think Morse gives them stability in the middle of the line. They had to have that. Fortner really struggled last year and was a big reason why they struggled on offense. And so getting a veteran like that in there to help, I think that's big. The guards have to be better. And I think when you look at the left tackle situation, there's a competition there, but whoever plays there has to be better. I think Harrison's going to be a big-time right tackle, so I'm not worried about him. But I do think they will be better than they were a year ago, but that doesn't mean there aren't any questions.
Well, I mentioned those contracts given out. They weren't just given out. They are given to guys that they think are going to be big-time performers moving forward. And that, of course, starts with your quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. They paid him to be a franchise quarterback. They feel he will be that. He's only turning 25 this year, still a young guy, Pete. What are your expectations here for Trevor going into 2024?
Well, Mike, I think last year, and I thought he would end up being the MVP. I thought he would have a big-time season. It didn't work out for a variety of reasons. One, you mentioned the offensive line. Two, the wide receivers getting hurt, Christian Kirk most notably. And three, I thought he was sped up the entire season, and I didn't really like the play calling, to be honest with you. So I think he had that all up, and it's why he didn't have the numbers he had, and then he got hurt. And so that really impacted him. Healthy Trevor Lawrence with those receivers, if the offensive line holds up, should put up big numbers. I think, he's got to prove to people, and there are a lot of skeptics around the league as to whether he should have got that contract. I'm not one of them, but he's got to prove to a lot of people that he could be that franchise guy.
Talking here with Pete Prisco from CBS Sports. Let's talk about those receivers here for a moment, Pete. Calvin Ridley and Zay Jones on the way out. Zay, an injured season last year, didn't play as much as they would have liked him to. Calvin Ridley had some great moments, had some down moments as well. They replaced them basically with Brian Thomas Jr., the rookie out of LSU, and the aforementioned Gabe Davis. Do you think they're more talented? Now, how do you feel about this receiving core at the moment compared to how you felt at this time last year?
Well, the one thing they do have now is that real explosive speed on the outside. And I've said this all along. I think they need to get more big plays in that offense. And I know they had their fair share of them, but Ridley was, unreliable, at least when it came to, which route he was going to run. Jones getting hurt really impacted the offense. And so I think getting Gabe Davis, and he's not a burner, but he can stretch the field, and getting, Brian Thomas will help open things up. And with Kirk doing the damage in the middle of the field and Ingram able to do his damage in the middle of the field, I think it gives them four really good weapons in the passing game. If the offensive line holds up, they will have success throwing the football.
All right, let's put it on the defensive side right now, Pete. Every defensive player is raving about the impact Ryan Nielsen is making this offseason. He's very hands-on. Every coordinator you hire talks about how they want to be aggressive, but he really seems like he's got them in that attack mode mentality. Let's not sit back and let it happen to us. Let's impose our will on the offenses that we're going to be facing this year. What are your thoughts on how Nielsen is going to try to get the best out of the talent that he has on hand?
Well, I think it's a good thing that they're going to a 4-3 front. You don't play that all the time, obviously, because of the way teams play with the nickel or the big nickel. But the fact that, Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen are going to have their hands on the ground is so important. And I think it's going to amp up the pass rush. Those guys, particularly Hines-Allen, he was really good last year, but I think he could be even better with his hand on the ground. He said that. He told me, he said he feels much more comfortable with his hand on the ground. So those two guys should be fine. I think getting big bodies back in the middle of that line to choke off the run is important. Getting a good season out of Hamilton, getting Armstead going. I think when you look at that, those guys got to be, more stout against the run, which will give you more pass rush opportunities. The question becomes, can the corners hold up? And that's the major issue for them. They paid Tyson Campbell. Can he hold up in man-to-man situations consistently? And what do they get from the other side? Whether it be Ronald Darby early in the season, maybe Jones, the rookie, goes in there. They have to get better play from their corners if they're going to play a lot more press man coverage.
Yeah, I think Darby excels in that scheme. The question with him has always been health. So if he can stay on the field, I'm pretty cautiously optimistic because he's been outstanding in camp so far. Pete, just one more thought on that defensive front as we get ready to wrap up here. Doug Pederson talked about, I want to do it like we did in Philadelphia with a wave of guys. We want to have 8 guys that play a lot of rotation, keep them fresh constantly. Well, the Jags let go of Adam Gotsis this week, who's been kind of a big part of their depth over the last couple of years. To me, letting him go this early in the preseason indicates that they feel like the overall talent on this roster at that position group is much better than it's been in the past.
Well, I think the Smith kid out of LSU is going to be a big-time player. And, it might not happen right away, but he is going to be a big-time player. Before he got hurt at LSU, he was on his way to being maybe a top 15 pick. Got hurt, tore up the knee, came back last year, didn't play very well, really came on at the back end of the season. And I think that you look at him, and he's an imposing guy. I think that's what they're excited about. I think they're excited about both those guys from LSU, to be honest with you. And I think that's where their depth is going to come on the interior. The outside pass rush, that might be a problem. That could be an issue. I know they like Gibson. We'll see. But I think you're more comfortable with the guys you have inside than as backups than you do on the outside.
Yeah, losing Deshaun Dixon to a torn ACL was a blow this week as well for some of that depth. So I hope you're right. Let's see how it all works out. The talent seems to be there. We'll see if the Jags are able to put it all together, and it begins coming up in just a few hours against the Kansas City Chiefs, and then it's joint practice week with the Tampa Bay Bucks coming up. We'll talk with Pete Prisco from CBS Sports on a weekly basis, as we've been doing for a long time here on the Jags pregame. Pete, always good to catch up with you. Look forward to talking about what we've seen from the Jags this week and next week in practice when we meet again next week.
You got it, Mike. Take care.
And, Brian, on that front, we talk about letting good players go, and
right.
That's a sign of a team getting better, its roster depth getting better. Deshaun Dixon was having a heck of a camp. I think he was going to be a factor in the two deep at defensive end this year. Enter Breeland Speaks, who was the UFL Defensive Player of the Year, 9.5 sacks in 10 games. And there are reasons why he was still available. He'd never really clicked in the National Football League. But a guy like that's got a chance to come in and make this roster, I think, because I really think they're counting on a lot out of Dixon this year.
Well, and he bounced around the NFL and starred in the UFL, so he's probably got a chip on his shoulder. And it never hurts to have one of those, does it?
No doubt.
All right, this next guy does not have a chip on his shoulder. He's a very measured veteran who understood the challenge when the Jaguars called him in free agency. Mitch Morse, the longtime center of the Bills and Chiefs, has worked with great quarterbacks. He understands the challenge he's got with a great young quarterback in Trevor Lawrence. He's also excited to be around Doug Pederson again, a guy that he said is one of the great people that he's known in his NFL career. Speaking of energy, he's excited to get back on the field this evening, even though it's just a preseason game.
No, I think it's one of those interesting things where no matter how much football you play, that first preseason game, much like your first day in pads, you have a little bit of anticipation, right? You get the little pregame jitters, and that's a good thing. I think you need that, especially in preseason. This is not supposed to be perfect, but this is when you get to work out your in-game routine through the season. Like for me, I'm a new guy. I don't know how stuff's done here, so it'll be a very eye-opening experience, and it'll be learning and go out there, fly around, do my best. But I'm sure there'll be mistakes made, and that's okay. But we're just going to try to go out there and play as free and fast as possible.
How tough is it to not have your entire unit together through training camp? And is there some value at this time of the year to do a little bit of that, or would you rather have everybody together right now?
I mean, for their sake, you'd rather everyone be available, right? But as is football, rarely does the continuity through injury-free seasons happen. Very rarely. So for us, this is a great opportunity to plug and play certain guys. For guys, the opportunities to play with other dudes who they might not have banked reps before. Don't know how they attack certain reps. So, it's a fun experience.
I ask all the rookies about how they get used to preparing their body for the rigors of training camp. As a 10-year veteran, how has your routine evolved over the years to make it through camp and to be healthy for the start of the season?
Sure. I think your training pre-camp is so that it's not like you're going to maintain that weight and that strength through preseason. Naturally they're going to be broken down a bit, but what it does is it gives you an opportunity to stay as healthy as possible through preseason. And then you just accrue different techniques over time to activate, stay healthy, know what works for your body, right? Like the body is so interesting. Everyone responds to different modalities, in different ways. So with that time, you've learned what works for you. It might not work for other people, and so on and so forth. So, you can only get yourself so physically ready. A lot of it's mental as well, just not the monotony so much, but just the mental grind. I mean, you don't have time to decompress at times. So for us, it's just doing the best you can. And no matter if you're year 1 or year 10, training camp is difficult, and it's meant to be.
Tell me an impression of the quarterback. He's a young guy, and everyone's got their sights set on him. You've been with these types of players before. Where is he, and what are your thoughts on your relationship with him so far?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that it's exciting to be a part of, right? Like, I think Trevor's ceiling is so high, right? He's had an opportunity to be so great, and he is a good football player. He's a great football player. For me, it's just giving him the opportunity to accentuate the tools that he has and try not to get in the way. It's just really fun to be a footnote in that long career that he's going to have.
And finally, when you signed here, obviously, you had a vision of what this could be, a perception of what it was going to be like. And has that been exactly what you thought it would be?
I think rarely it's exactly what you think it's going to be, but that's not bad. You have preconceived notions of certain things, and sometimes those are met. Sometimes those expectations are met, and sometimes they're not. And in certain instances, that's good. In some instances, that's bad. And I know that's a very vague answer, but it's hard to explain totally. It's hard to find the right words, but all the good things are exactly what I thought they'd be, and all the negatives are part of football.
What Doug Pederson would say about reuniting with Mitch Morse. The things that he thought he was getting, exactly what he expected. All right, when we come back, we'll hear from Heath Farwell, the special teams coordinator, about the new kickoff, plus life without Dewey for as long as he is watching from the sidelines. Plus, in about 15 minutes, Hall of Famer Tony Boselli and Jeff Lageman join us from the booth. You're listening to the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, CSI Companies partners with leading healthcare and technology organizations nationwide to deliver workforce solutions. CSI prides itself on building meaningful relationships and provides personalized operations to fuel the success of businesses, both big and small. Whether it's finding the right talent for a job or seamlessly managing a project from start to finish, CSI has 3 decades of experience in getting the job done. This is your workforce solutions reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at EverBank Stadium, because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
You've been putting back a few, and a few becomes a few too many. For a moment, you think of calling for a ride, but nah, you live nearby. What's the worst that could happen? You get pulled over, your insurance goes up, you lose your license, you total your car, you kill someone. The results of driving drunk are tragic. That's why law enforcement is out there looking for impaired drivers to save lives. So if you think you're okay to drive after a few drinks, think again. Drive sober or get pulled over.
Paid for by FDOT.
We're excited to announce a special activation at select training camps. Join us as we celebrate the Corner at Deb Store, coming soon to the Eastside community. Operated by Goodwill Industries of North Florida, the Deb Store will help change lives in the historic Out East through fresh foods, education, and career opportunities. In partnership with various community partners, this project will create a space where residents can thrive. Watch out for the Deb Store van at select training camps this July and August, where you can enjoy free samples and learn how to support this initiative. Are you ready for some football? Well, you are now, thanks to Ticketmaster. As the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL, Ticketmaster's got the best way to take it to the house when it comes to being there live. They're the safest and most convenient marketplace to score fully verified Jaguars tickets. And even if your plans get broken up or worse, turned over, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell your seats. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
And welcome back to the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. The Chiefs and Jaguars in preseason week 1, coming up with a 7 o'clock kickoff here at EverBank Stadium. Brian and Mike with you from the Hyundai Studios inside the Miller Electric Center. And special teams are always a big part of the story on Sundays. Tonight, special teams might be the story of the game as the NFL makes a radical change to the way that it puts the ball in play. Mike, in 31 years covering the NFL, this is easily the most significant change I've seen, and I've been looking forward to some kickoff return action because it was a play that once made you hold your breath. So I spent some time with special teams coordinator Heath Farwell this week, and let's hear from him, and then I'll get your thoughts. And the first thing is, what do you think?
Excited and anxious. Anxious to see what it looks like. Anxious to see what I believe is the best way to block it and to cover. To see if it works and to see it at full speed against an opponent. But it's also excited to see our guys play. We got a bunch of young players that are doing a really, really good job. Just see them out there competing in a real game of putting the jerseys on against an opponent. That's the exciting part. I got a lot of great memories as an undrafted free agent. So to get some of these guys whether it's a rookie that was drafted or undrafted, to see what they do in their first game. It's going to be really fun and exciting to see them out there.
Can you put into words how much work and how many people it took to get to this point with the kickoff? This is a drastic change. In my 30 years in pro football, we haven't had a big moment where the game changes like this.
Yeah, there's a group of about 4 guys in the committee that have been working on this for several years that are special teams coordinators that have done this thing for a long time and have been around coaching for a long time. So they've been looking into it for years, but it first got exposed to the majority of us at the Combine. So since the Combine, it's been a nonstop, arguably the most important 2 phases of emphasis going into the season to see what it looks like. So yeah, it's been a long road, and we still don't know. I mean, there's still a lot of unknowns. I'm trying to have some thoughts of what I think is going to happen and what potentially we could see, or what other teams are going to try to do, but you still don't know. And so I'm trying to think ahead and outside the box, and so I think that's part of it. Is my assistant and I have dug in this thing. There's no stone unturned from watching other leagues doing it or some version of it, to even our guys and what the feedback I get from them. The feedback I get from them is probably the most important of our players, our veteran players like Chad Muma. Dewey was a big part of it, of the type of blocks that they like, and even the schemes that are the little maybe tougher blocks to get to, and what's going to work and how it's going to work and all those things.
There's a little intrigue to it. I noticed open practices have not had a lot of kickoff periods, right? I mean, you guys have been doing it indoors in the evening in your walkthroughs, I assume, and I don't imagine you're going to show us much in the preseason either, right? I mean, you're going to keep your bullets back, but that also means other teams are doing the exact same thing.
I mean, I think it's a little of both. I think we got to see what it looks like. But yes, we are not going to completely show exactly what we're doing, but we also got to see that we're on the right track. And so I think it's a mixture of both, and I think every team's going to do some version of that. So I think that's an intriguing part, is I think we can learn more each preseason game, but it's also we're going to learn more as the first 4 games get on, what it looks like of not only schemes and techniques, but even drive starts and all the different things that play into not only special teams, but as far as offense and defense and how it plays out.
How special of a special teams player is Dewey, and how do you replace a guy that means so much to you?
I mean, Dewey's a fantastic football player. His instincts, his leadership, not only on special teams, but our team. And it is tough. He's been the captain on special teams for us. So he is a guy that it's tough to replace. I have a bunch of good players. I'm super fortunate. We have great gunners, a great specialist, and good players all around. So, it is tough to replace them, but our guys I got a great group.
Tell me about Cam Little, the rookie kicker. What did you see in him when you studied him and visited him? And it's been awesome to watch. It just seems like that kid has a bionic leg.
Yeah, he was a guy that he's one of the guys we targeted as we went through the draft process. And then getting out to work him out and to take him to dinner and get a good feel for him, and understand what he's about and what's important to him. He's really, really young, but he's really, really driven, and he cares so much about being great. He misses one kick and he's frustrated and cares so much, and that quality of being very competitive and wanting to be the best and the confidence to be the best, it's hard to find, and when you do find it, it's a special player, and I think he's doing exactly what I thought he would do, if not more. Like I said, I had him as my favorite guy in the draft as far as kickers, and we were lucky to get him, and I was excited when he kind of fell to us, and it was just meant to be here, I think, and our relationship is just building every day. Those are the communications, between the coordinator and any specialist, let alone the kicker. We have to have, and so we're having those conversations on the field of what it's going to look like, what the preseason is going to look like, what is every practice, every workout, every meeting. And so he's in my office all the time, at least once or twice a day, of going through just kind of situations and how can I help him and work him through it, because he's young, he's 20 years old, and so anything I can help him with, I'm doing it.
Final thought. Let's take listeners behind the scenes for just a moment. You're the only coach besides the head coach that addresses the entire team. So when you look at these guys, what do you see in their eyes? Last year was disappointing, and there's lots of adjectives to describe the hunger for this team this year. But when you're in front of them, what's your impression of this team?
I think you said it was they're hungry to get back on the field. And I think just getting out there, even in this first preseason game, to just start fresh, everything has been all new of just, hey, we were excited to come to camp, excited for this first preseason game, and then ultimately really, really excited for week one, just to get back out there and do it, because it's been a different focus and different mindset going into this year. And I think it's important to these guys. And so we're hoping and we're working at having a really, really good season. And like I said, it starts Kansas City. I know it's a preseason game, but we love to start off on the right note of, the ones get in there and do what they do, and then and then so on down all the way down throughout the roster. We expect it's it's not a game that's a must win, but it's a game that we'd love to win, because I think it is important to win and to feel that and all that from top to bottom roster. It's important.
I'm excited about the kickoff. I'm excited because I like that the league is willing to innovate and try different ways to make it happen. Now, having said that, we're not going to see anything tonight.
We're not going to see anything for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah,
quite frankly, right? And nor should you, right? Everyone wants to keep it close to the vest. The NFL is willing to innovate to a degree, okay? Had they gone with the original UFL rule and penalized the errant kickoffs out to the 35-yard line,
right,
I think we'd be anticipating this even more, because now I think there's a school of thought that says, hey, if we let them break one early, the heck with it. Just give them the ball at the 30-yard line. And, the Jags have invested in this significantly. Jamal Agnew was a good player. Devin Duvernay was the all-pro return man in the National Football League. Keelan Robinson was brought in here, I think, primarily to be a supplement to that. You're going to have a lot of two kickoff return setups. So I think everyone's wondering what's exactly going to happen. And the teams that can get an advantage early in the year, Brian, they're going to get a jump. They may steal a win or two because of this. This is going to be a very important change.
We had a conference call, the media did, with NFL officials, and they went through this. Walt Anderson explained the rules and how all those things work. I left that call with the idea that it's a very fluid process. They will be tweaking this thing into the regular season. They were given the permission by ownership to get this right, even if that means week 3 saying, hey, we got to do this.
Well, Sean Payton of the Denver Broncos has advocated for them to change it before the season kicks off, to make it that 35-yard line. If you really want to force more kickoffs, and for people who don't understand, if the ball lands short of the 20 or if it goes into the end zone, you're going to get that out at the 30-yard line. If it lands inside the 20 and rolls into the end zone, you get it at 20.
Right.
But what they're trying to do is get you to kick it between the 20 and the goal line to force returns.
The action.
And, you break a couple because you've got a good scheme, then right now it's not that penal, I think, to just say, all right, let them start at the 30.
All right, we've got much more ahead. We go to the broadcast booth when we return for the first rounds on us. And this is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's storm season, and JEA is committed to keeping you informed. In the event of a storm, we'll text and email you about the status of your services. We use Facebook and Twitter to post real-time updates. Our live outage map on JEA.com lets you track restoration progress. And as crews work to restore services, our storm outreach team will be in local neighborhoods to answer your questions. Because as your community utility, JEA is here to keep you safe and connected. Your community, your utility.
What makes that famous call
Dinner's ready!
even better? It's cooking a great meal with natural gas, enjoying faster cooking times and precise temperature control. And now getting a valuable cash rebate up to $300 when you install an energy-efficient natural gas range or cooktop.
Anyone want seconds?
When you show your home love with natural gas, it loves you right back. To learn more and how to qualify, visit peoplesgas.com/rebates.
Everyone wins when two great traditions team up. Yucatan Guacamole is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Our authentic guacamole recipe starts with hand-scooped avocados and ends up in your hands fresh and ready to enjoy. Grab some on game day at the Yucatan Cantina or Yucatan Nacho Carts around the stadium or at local retail stores. Sack your snack game with Yucatan Guacamole.
Ancient City Brewing is celebrating 30 years of Jags football by becoming the proud craft beer partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And what better way to celebrate a throwback year than to throw back some of their expertly crafted beers? From Augustine's Orange Amber Ale to their Castillo Coconut Porter, there's always something new to discover at Ancient City Brewing, including the new First and Gold Golden Ale, coming soon to a Duval County store near you. Ancient City Brewing, taste history, make history, and please always drink responsibly.
Are you ready for some football? Well, you are now, thanks to Ticketmaster. As the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL, Ticketmaster's got the best way to take it to the house when it comes to being there live. They're the safest and most convenient marketplace to score fully verified Jaguars tickets. And even if your plans get broken up or worse, turned over, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell your seats. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
And welcome back to the Publix Tailgate Show. Brian and Mike from the Hyundai Studios. Kickoff between the Chiefs and Jaguars in the preseason opener is just over 2 hours away. Time now for First Rounds on Us.
New York Jets, first round choice. Jeff Lagaman.
Jacksonville Jaguars have selected tackle Southern California, Tony Vasselli.
And the First Rounds on Us is presented by Ancient City Brewing. Taste history, make history. And Jeff and Tony are in the booth over across the way. Guys, how are you tonight?
Doing great, Brian. It'd be a little bit better if the air conditioning was a little stronger with the open window, but we're going to make do. Baselli's lost a few pounds already.
Yeah, I'm good.
Nice
it's beautiful.
Nice
beautiful
and cool
day.
in the Miller Electric Center. Well, let's get right to it. Finding Solutions presented by the University of Florida, the #1 university in the U.S. News and World Report's #1 state for education. Here's the topic. There was a long to-do list in January after last season ended. Tell me which solution you thought the Jaguars addressed most completely. What player, what coach, what did they do, in your estimation, that found a solution to a problem from last season?
I think the #1 thing, Brian, that I'll point to is the hiring of a new defensive coordinator. And I'm a big fan of Ryan Nielsen and the job that he's done so far in training camp.
Because he's a Trojan. He's a USC Trojan. That's why you're a big fan.
That's great. What I love, though, is the energy. And I love the fact that you've got two of your best players on the defense now, and Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen playing with their hand in the ground. I mean, I've probably said it more than a few times over the last couple of years. Not a fan of guys being in two-point stances when the whole objective is to get after the quarterback. And, look, I've been there before. Tony's blocked guys in two-point stances. It's easier to block them in a two-point stance. So I'm a big fan of the energy that he's created and the scheme that he's bringing.
The only guy that wasn't easier to block from a two-point, or there's two, Kevin Green and LT. Those two guys.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, they were
pretty good.
They were pretty good from the two-point stance.
Yeah, they didn't have any problem rushing from a two-point.
They could rush from any stance they
like
wanted.
Me, though, it made a difference.
No, but you're right. Most people, it's a little bit more difficult. I mean, I was going to go with – there was two. Either Ryan Nielsen. I agree with Jeff. I mean, I think what he said is 100% correct. I'm going to go with signing your stars. I think it's the right overall message of where this organization is going. Signing Josh Hines-Allen, signing Trevor, getting Campbell signed. I mean, so you're getting your young guys, kind of the foundation of the organization, signed to long-term deals, and I thought that was really important this offseason.
Guys, a lot of talk about needing to be more physical on the lines of scrimmage, particularly offensively. They go out and sign Mitch Morse, which is a guy coming from a program where he's used to winning. What do you make of the approach? I don't know if we're going to know what the results are until we get into the regular season, just how good this offensive line can be. But what do you make of the approach to bring back Ezra Cleveland to only replace one of the 5 starters on the offensive line?
Mike, I'm trying to be positive. It's early in the season. Why you ask me a question where I have to?
So I know you can handle it, Tony.
Yes. They basically what they said is our only issue up front last year where we couldn't move the ball and we struggled in short yardage, we struggled in protection, was the center. And Mitch Morse is an upgrade. He's a veteran, tough guy. He's better getting to the second level, but he's not exactly a road grader. And so what they did is they said, we're good enough up front. We just need to replace the center, and we'll see. But, Mike, you're exactly right. One of the biggest issues, and we talked about this on all the shows, we talked it in pregame, during the game, the back half of the season, injuries were a big part of it, no doubt about it. But not just the back half where they couldn't win a game, but even when they were 8-3, they struggled in short yardage. They struggled to control the line of scrimmage. And I think what they're saying is, hey, we're going to bet we can be healthy. We'll get a veteran center, and we're good enough at the other four.
Yeah, and I'll kind of chime in on this too, because I think the mindset also has to be changed. It's not just about the guys. And look, I'm a big believer, and it's not X's and O's, it's the Jimmies and the Joes. I get that.
More 3-point.
But when you're in a 2-point stance, and you're in a 2-point stance 90-95% of the time, it doesn't create the mindset to be a physical offensive line.
I agree with that.
They're in more of a 3-point stance this year. Ezra Cleveland, I think, is now in the system. He's going to be an upgrade, keeping him at guard, not swinging him to tackle if you have an injury or anything like that, which all it did was lead to injury last year. And Mitch Morse and the development of Anton Harrison, more of his run blocker, I think will help. But I'm still one of those people that says, show me, because that was a big glaring weakness for this offense, so they've got to get it fixed this year. And look, and they recognized it, and they're talking about it, and they're more physical in practice. You just got to have it carry over.
And I agree with Jeff. I think getting in the 3-point, it will help change the mindset. But as I look across the line of the 5 guys that we assume are going to be the starters, so Cam Robinson, Ezra Cleveland, Mitch Morse, Brandon Sheriff, and Anton Harris. There's not a road grader type of mentality. I mean, Cam is your biggest bodied guy. He's probably your most physical guy. But it's still more of a movement, pick and pull and move, get outside and do things. I mean, that's the body types, and they're very athletic. And so I'm really interested to see is how does this run game develop this year? What is the mentality? How they go about it? And then, obviously, we got to protect the quarterback better. I mean, one of the big things last year was Trevor was not healthy.
Hurt.
He got hit a lot.
3 different injuries.
He got hit a lot. If I'm not mistaken, Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he had one of the shortest periods of time to get rid of the ball in the NFL last year. Am I correct in saying that somewhere in that area?
Yeah, and it would have been nice if he, some of it was due to his own.
I'm not saying that. It's the sacks are a group effort. But when we're talking about the offensive line,
got to be better.
They got to be better, and I think they're good players. I believe in the guys. Can they do it? Change the mentality, get a little more physical.
To this point, guys, Jags have only practiced against themselves. We'll learn more when the first team goes against Kansas City's first team, and obviously the joint practices versus the Bucs. But to this point, is there a player that has pleasantly surprised you, like somebody who stood out that maybe you didn't expect as much as what you've seen so far in training camp?
On the offensive line?
On anywhere.
Oh, I think there's been a couple guys. First of all, I love what I'm seeing out of Gabe Davis. I think he's a really good fit for this offense. And Tony and I had this discussion a little bit, and Calvin Ridley was kind of a similar player to Christian Kirk. And you've got a young player that's developing in Parker Washington, kind of in that same role of Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk. But this offense needed a deep threat. Well, you didn't just get one. You got really 2. Gabe Davis is a crafty guy that's not super fast, but he gets deep because he's a very smart player. And then you drafted Brian Thomas Jr. I think that's a huge upgrade that you're adding to this offense, and it's going to make Trevor only better. And if you can get more physical up front, and then Tank Bigsby becomes a big contributor to this running game as well, so it takes some of the pressure off of Etienne. Play action in the deep ball, I think, will be more of an impact than what it's been under Doug Pederson.
Yeah, I'm going to go on the other side of the ball. I like how Hines Allen and Walker, Trayvon and Josh showed up. I think they are bigger. They're both looking around 285. I think they said, hey, we're going to be 4-3. We're going to put our hand on the ground. We're going to play more physical. I think they both have had good camps. And I think both those guys are going to have a big year. I'm not saying Josh is going to back up with their 17-plus sacks, 17.5 sacks that he had last year. But I think he has another monster year, and I think we'll see even the next step in the evolution of Trayvon Walker. I think he's in a much better position fit playing 4-3 out defensive end than outside linebacker and 3-4. So I really like what I've seen from those guys early.
And Mike, I'm going to give you a rookie that is really kind of knocking my socks off. And, look, I'm here to tell you that it's only 2 weeks and they haven't played a game yet. But watching the second-round pick, Mason Smith, in practice in one-on-one pass rush, they can't block him. I mean, the Jaguars' offensive line are struggling to block him. He's long. He's got power. He's got some really natural moves, a really nice swim move, and he has given them fits. And, look, again, it's only been 2 weeks. They've only played against themselves, okay? But I'm excited to watch him in game action.
Yeah, I'm going to add, it's 2 weeks. One-on-one pass rush, great. You better win as a defensive lineman there, because if you can't win there, you can't win anywhere, in my opinion. But what I like, if you watch him in all the drills, you watch him in team, all the things Jeff said is right. I'm going to add one more adjective. There's a violence about his game.
Big dude.
All right, guys. Well, I violently have to step in and cut this one off so that we can get to hour number 2. Have a good broadcast tonight.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there you go. Right?
There you go.
Quick, sudden, get out. That'll do it for hour number 1. Good to see you again. We're up and rolling. Going to turn it over to JP Shadrick for hour number 2 on the Publix Tailgate Show here on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub-platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Football and Miller Lite. Duval's greatest pairing. Can cracks and kickoff. Tailgates going well past postgame. Sunday night overtime. Followed by Monday morning pride. Knocking on bar tops for luck. Kicking back on any given Sunday. You never forget the way some things taste. Jags football tastes like Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. 2023 Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Headquartered in Jacksonville, Florida, CSI Companies partners with leading healthcare and technology organizations nationwide to deliver workforce solutions. CSI prides itself on building meaningful relationships and provides personalized operations to fuel the success of businesses, both big and small. Whether it's finding the right talent for a job or seamlessly managing a project from start to finish, CSI has 3 decades of experience in getting the job done. This is your workforce solutions reimagined. Visit CSICompanies.com. The kick is up. It's good!
Score winning sub deals this Jaguar season at Firehouse Subs. Buy a medium hook and ladder sub and get a medium hook and ladder sub free when the Jaguars kick a field goal of 40 yards or more.
It's a bold deal for the bold city.
Download the Firehouse Subs app for offer details. Redeemable only at participating Jacksonville and Orlando area restaurants. Only available in the Firehouse Subs app.
Who will your child grow up to be? Well, that depends on all of us. That's why, along with our groundbreaking medical care, Nemours Children's Health supports programs that address issues like food insecurity and the resources essential to learning. It's all part of creating a healthier future for all children. So they can grow up to be whoever they want to be. Nemours Children's Health, well beyond medicine.
Big Number 1 Duval Ford is trusted by Duval families, Duval businesses, and law enforcement across Florida. We are Jacksonville's largest Ford dealer by Ford sales, with the biggest service facility to keep everything in your driveway on the road. Shop Big Number 1 Duval Ford on Cassett Avenue for our low prices and nationally recognized service first experience. Big Number 1 Duval Ford, proudly serving Duval since 1916.
It's hour 2 of the Publix Tailgate Show. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. 2 hours away from preseason week 1, the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs and the Jacksonville Jaguars. EverBank Stadium, the site kickoff just after 7 o'clock. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey. We're at the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center. Our new home for pregame and postgame radio before and after Jaguars games. Glad to be here with you again, Mike. What's up?
Likewise, JP. Another season, hopefully a very successful one on the field, but we'll do our part here in the radio booth.
We certainly will. We'll do what we can. Game day weather brought to you by the St. Johns River Water Management District. Florida's water, it's worth saving. Isolated thunderstorms. Actually heard a bit of thunder a moment ago. 88 degrees. But should clear off by kickoff time of just after 7 o'clock, and it's what you expect this time of year in this part of the world, afternoon thunderstorms.
Got a lot of it driving in from St. Augustine today, and hopefully it'll abate by the time we kick this thing off at 7 o'clock.
What do you want to see the most tonight? What's number one on your checklist?
First-team offense sticking in the end zone. This goes beyond, obviously, stay healthy, right? That's number one priority in the first preseason game. But I want to see the first-team offense execute well. I have faith in the first-team defense. And, a lot of that's because Ryan Nielsen's impact throughout training camp and how the players are taken to the new scheme. And I just feel like they've got a lot of good players on that side of the ball. But I like to see Trevor Lawrence lead a touchdown drive. But specifically, I'd like to see him get into some short yardage situations and see if we can get some push in that A-gap on the right side of Mitch Morse. Morse and Sheriff have been the healthiest offensive linemen in camp. They're the old veterans, JP. They're not old by human standards. They're not really even that old by offensive lineman standards. But I want to see if the Jags are going to get immediate dividends from that signing of Mitch Morse. And let's see a couple of 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1 conversions from either Etienne or Bigsby.
Let's get to some of today's top stories, starting with the starters playing for about a quarter tonight, or maybe a little less, depending on how the game goes. What head coach Doug Pederson wants to see.
With the first group going against another first group, you want to see execution, very, very few mistakes, because you're running your training camp plays. So just going out and doing your job. And
quarterback Trevor Lawrence, part of that, getting some time tonight. Excited to see some action against the defending champs.
It'll be a good challenge for us and see how we stack up early. Obviously, it's preseason 1. There's a long ways to go before week 1, but I think it is important to kind of test yourself and see how you look against a team that has been the standard the past few years, and shouldn't take it lightly. It is just a preseason game, but you're playing, they're keeping score, you want to win it. So I think that's the mindset, and Coach actually just mentioned that after practice. So we understand what we want to do and what the goal is.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, obviously big off season with the new contract and a new family member on the way in the coming months. A lot happening on and off the field for Trevor Lawrence, but now it's back to football for him and his 3rd year in this Doug Pederson, Press Taylor offense.
Look, expectations are on the rise, and they should be, right? When you pay the quarterback the kind of money that they did and commit to him for the next half decade at least, and some of the other contracts that they've given out, they're signaling that they believe that they've got a roster that can compete, JP. And I know Doug Pederson was disappointed the way they played against elite teams last year. And granted, this is only going to be maybe a quarter of action, probably less than that, but it's still a measuring stick against the 2-time defending Super Bowl champs.
Let's hear from Mitch Morse. You mentioned him, 10th-year center, his first action with the Jaguars tonight. He was asked when continuity is achieved on the offensive line, but there's no timetable up front.
In games, people might go down. There might be a switch up of things. So it actually is nice right now to have the confidence working with other dudes, right? Like see how they tick, see what their thought process is, and for vice versa. So, yeah, for us, we're just going to get our work in. Hopefully those guys get back as healthy as possible, and then we'll roll from there and just kind of take the next swing that comes with it.
There will be a couple of other dudes out there tonight. Blake Hance at left guard, Walker Little at right tackle, because Ezra Cleveland held out tonight with a heel issue. Anton Harrison coming off the concussion. They're just held out as a precaution in tonight's game.
Yeah, and you hope that that's all that turns into with these guys. It looks like Anton's almost ready to return to full-time practicing, and it doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal with Ezra Cleveland, but this is a unit that we have questions about, right? So, you'd like to see them full strength to start the year, but you're going to need at some point Walker Little, Blake Hance, guys like that to step in. So, let's not see a massive drop-off from what you expect from the starters.
Might see an effort to get wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. involved early tonight, trying to settle into this offense. The rookie out of LSU, he said this week the offense is a challenge.
Being able to play all 3 positions, being able to play inside, outside, and just do it all. They move you around, try to get the best look for you, get the best matchup for you. So I would say it's very challenging, but just coming out here and doing it each and every day, you'll get better.
Yeah, well, the first week of camp didn't see a lot of Brian Thomas, at least making catches on the practice field. That has increased as the weeks have gone along, or the second week went along. All right, well, tonight, under the lights, first time, I think they pushed or try to push the ball to him as much as they can.
John Hosher asked me the other day, we were talking about how much you want to see the starters play. If the first play of the game is Trevor Lawrence deep to Brian Thomas for a touchdown, have you seen enough? Not really, right? But I like it nonetheless, right? I feel great for Brian Thomas. Look, they had a plan, and they've talked about this repeatedly. They want to ramp up. They don't want to over-press guys. They don't want guys running 45-yard go routes on the first day of practice. So, Brian Thomas will get his opportunities. He's going to be a very important guy. He has to develop eventually into a true NFL number one based on the way the Jags have comprise this roster around him, and with Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis in the fold there. Kirk will be the most frequent target this year, but Brian Thomas will be the guy they're looking to for the big play.
Let's go to defense now. A new system led by coordinator Ryan Nielsen. The first depth chart came out this week, but of course he urged caution.
The depth chart is etched in sand, so it can change. It really it could be game to game, playing time. I mean, we take this thing, we've talked about this, it's a one day at a time. Every single day counts, every rep counts. Doesn't matter who that rep is against, we're evaluating that player for what he's done on that particular rep on tape. You have to put the name somewhere, right? Yeah, it's something you have to do. Probably look for a different depth chart the next time, because this game will be, move some guys around.
All right, a totally new look. 4 down linemen, base defense. They'll do a lot of different things at linebacker in the secondary around that. I'm excited to see what this thing looks like, though we might not get close to an answer tonight. They're going to keep it pretty vanilla, I would imagine.
As you should, right? You want to try out what you want to see and not necessarily match up with what the Kansas City Chiefs are going to do. But I think we're going to see a lot of 4-2-5, right? 2 linebackers, 5 defensive backs. And Ryan Nielsen said, for a lot of teams, the pass rush dictates the coverage. A little bit different here. The corners are really the strength of a Ryan Nielsen defense. They've got to be able to press and give those pass rushers that little bit of extra time. And I don't know a cornerback that doesn't love playing that style, right? They want to be aggressive. They want to get up and jam their man, not sit back passively and let things happen to them. And I tell you, Ronald Darby's been one of the stars of camp to me so far. He has excelled in this kind of scheme. The only question with him in his career, JP, is will he stay healthy? He has to this point. Let's hope that continues.
Another 10-year player they brought in this offseason. A lot of veteran free agents, not just, 5th-year guys. These are 10th-year players in the league.
Guys that have been around winning organizations, winning situations, like Eric Armstead, like Mitch Morse, and here you have Ronald Darby.
At the linebacker level, 3rd year for Devin Lloyd, playing some middle linebacker now, and the communication should be clearer for everyone on defense, including Lloyd.
Making sure there's no gray area on any levels and each call. Every call has so many intricate details, and making sure that there's no gray area and making sure we don't see it one way and safety see it another way. Everybody's on the same page, communications at a high level. And it's complex but simple. It's relatively simple, and so it's easy for everybody to just be decisive.
All right, Devin Lloyd's put on some weight in the offseason. Still got to be able to run, but if he's playing more in the middle, he'll be having blockers on him a little bit more. He's got to be able to handle that, and let's see if this is the right step for him.
And let's see what the middle really looks like. Because like I said, I think you're going to see a lot of 4-2-5, right? So you're going to have Devin Lloyd and Foye Oluokun almost interchangeable, I think, in what the roles are asked to be. But if you want to talk about a depth chart etched in sand, nowhere is that more evident than around Devin Lloyd, who was listed as the will linebacker and as the co-starter with Chad Muma, neither of which I think are going to prove to be accurate once the season kicks off.
There you have it, some of the best sound of the week from Jaguars press conferences. All the press conferences available at Jaguars.com. Tonight's preseason game is sponsored by Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the National Football League. Let's head across the street to EverBank Stadium and up in the broadcast booth, Kai Stevens, Jaguars reporter, standing by. Good afternoon, Kai. What's going on inside?
Hello, my friends. How are we? It's very nice. I'm glad football is back.
I think everyone is. It's been a long, long offseason after the way it went down towards the end of last year, and I think everybody just wants to put that aside and move forward and try to get this organization right back to the top of the AFC South, and our first chance to look at it tonight. So what are you expecting to see, Kai? What overall would you like to see tonight?
Just a lot of changes, I think, have happened in the offseason. Obviously, we've talked about them at length. I think I'm excited to see them in action. Obviously, there's a ton of youth on this team now and a lot of experienced veterans, which hopefully are bringing a different dynamic to the field than what we saw. Obviously, things didn't end the way they wanted to last season, so learning from that, growing from that, preventing that from happening again.
Kai, you had a chance earlier today to catch up with head coach Doug Pederson upon his arrival at the facility very early.
Yes.
Right?
Doug must be excited for football, too. I caught up with him this morning, just talking a little bit about what we just said and kind of catching up about the offseason and what he's expecting to see from this team early.
Here with head coach of the Jaguars, Doug Pederson. Doug, it's been over 6 months since we've seen you guys play football, a lot of changes in the offseason. What's the most different thing about the team that you're putting out now?
Well, obviously there's a lot of new faces, some new names, but I think schematically I think what's going to be different, obviously defensively, a little different scheme than what people are used to and what we've been used to in the three-man front. And so I'm interested to see just how that plays out tonight and in this football game and watch our guys play. But it's been a while since we've been out there, and it'll feel good to get back on the grass.
Now, you've always been pretty vocal. You think the starters should play in the preseason, have to get those reps in. Is that still the plan, to kind of see the starters for a little bit to start this game?
It is. I've always felt that way and believed that, and get these guys some real game action, for however long. It's usually no more than a quarter. Sometimes it could be a series depending on how successful we are.
We're going to see some of the young guys today. When obviously you're taking on the champs, that's a good test for anybody, but a lot of this is about evaluation, right? So what are you specifically looking for to seeing some of these younger players in game action?
You want to see the execution, right? Can they take it from practice, training camp here at our facility and put it in game action, and really can they play fast? Can they process information on their feet and think through things and sort of work through issues. Those are all things that we try to look for, and then we keep it simple so they can play fast. But overall execution, offensively, let's take care of the football. That was something last year that we struggled to do late in the season, and defensively we got to create some takeaways. So, those are all things that we're going to look at. But overall, just evaluating and hopefully come away with the win.
Best of luck tonight. Thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
That's Kai Stevens with Doug Pederson earlier today. Kai, and cool as can be. He's been through this a number of times, and he wants those guys to get some time. I think that's the key. A lot of coaches might bubble wrap some players here or there. No. You got to go out there and play and get ready to play football week one.
And you have to remember, a lot of these lineups are different than what they were last year. So it's not, yes, Trevor has a good rapport with Christian Kirk, but a lot of this wide receiving core is different now, as well as there's additions to the offensive line. The defensive side of the ball, very different. So you have to learn to play with each other as well, not only getting ready for game action, but seeing how you play well with each other. And as we mentioned, a lot of promising rookies that are going to be out there too.
And the coaching operation tonight, right? Press Taylor will be on the sideline with Doug Pederson tonight, the offensive play caller, Press Taylor. And then at least last check, there was no word on where Ryan Nielsen was going to be. He didn't know the other day.
I have not heard on that either. If he was smart, he'd be in a booth because it is about melting 100 degrees out here. So
it's what it is. It is August in Florida. Kai Stevens, have a great night tonight. We'll talk to you again in Countdown to Kickoff.
Thanks, guys.
We're about 15 minutes away from the announcement of the players who will not be playing in tonight's game for the Jaguars. Up next, though, we'll hear from rookie defensive tackle Mason Smith out of LSU, who's had a great camp so far. Kickoff just after 7 o'clock for the Chiefs and the Jaguars. It's preseason week 1. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub-platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Chelsea here with Renewal by Anderson. Renewal by Anderson specializes in energy-efficient, custom-built replacement windows and doors that are twice as tough as vinyl. Save money through the month of August and save $300 on every window and $825 on every patio door. Plus 0 down, 0 payments, and 0 interest for 12 months. Some restrictions apply. Proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Go to rbfla.com to book your design consultation today. License number CGC 1527613.
Ready to fuel up for summer fun? Join the MyGate Rewards loyalty program and pump up the savings. This summer, become a new loyalty member and save 25 cents per gallon on your first fill-up. Already a member? Now you can earn rewards 10 times faster. For every $10 spent in store, save 5 cents per gallon at the pump. Stop by Gate today to crank up your summer savings. Offer ends August 31st, 2024.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
We're excited to announce a special activation at select training camps. Join us as we celebrate the Corner at Deb's Store, coming soon to the Eastside community. Operated by Goodwill Industries of North Florida, the Deb's Store will help change lives in the historic Out East through fresh foods, education, and career opportunities. In partnership with various community partners, this project will create a space where residents can thrive. Watch out for the Deb Store van at select training camps this July and August, where you can enjoy free samples and learn how to support this initiative. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a whole lot more than just wings. Craving the ultimate game day experience? Look no further. Swing by Mr. Chubby's and indulge in the biggest and best wings in town, all while soaking up the lively atmosphere with fellow sports fans. With plenty of game day specials and locations on the West Side, Fleming Island, Ponte Vedra Beach, and new this season, EverBank Stadium, they're here for all your game day needs. Mr. Chubby's Wings is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Mr. Chubby's Wings, before the game, after the game, and during the game.
JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center just outside EverBank Stadium. The Publix Tailgate Show continues. We're about 2 hours from preseason week 1. The world champion Kansas City Chiefs in town to face the Jaguars. And kickoff set for 7:07 officially Eastern Time. Mike, it's time for a look around the National Football League.
Well, yes, it is, JP. A lot of games already in the books for week 1 of the preseason. Going back to this Thursday, New England knocking off Carolina 17-3. The storyline there is rookie quarterback Joe Milton outplaying rookie quarterback Drake May to this point, not only in this game, but in training camp. Those have been the reports coming out of New England. Milton 4 of 6 for 54 yards and a touchdown. May only threw it 3 times. He completed 2 for 19 yards in a 17-3 New England win. The New York Giants behind the running of Eric Gray. He scored a couple of touchdowns, the third string back for New York as they knocked off the Detroit Lions 14-3. The Lions resting their starters in preseason week 1. Last night, we saw Miami knock off Atlanta 20-13 behind rookie running back Jalen Wright's 10 carries for 55 yards and a score. Houston over Pittsburgh 20-12. C.J. Stroud did play. Not all of their first-team guys did, but Tank Dell was in there, and he caught a 34-yard touchdown from Stroud en route to that 8-point victory. Philadelphia knocking off Baltimore 16-13 behind backup Kenny Pickett's 89 yards and a touchdown. Games today, we saw Jaden Daniels, the number 2 overall pick for Washington, lead a touchdown drive on the opening drive of his preseason career. He took it in from 3 yards. Unassisted, but the New York Jets won that one 20-17. The Chicago Bears over Buffalo today 33-6. Rookie Caleb Williams, the number 1 overall pick, 4 of 7 passing for 95 yards and no scores. In Las Vegas, Gardner Minshew is battling for the starting quarterback job. Certainly the former Jaguar. A lot of people expect him to get it based on the contract he signed this offseason, but Aiden O'Connell got the start. He's the incumbent, 7-9 passing for O'Connell for 76 yards. Minshew, 5 of 10 so far for 114, including a touchdown to DJ Turner as the Raiders lead the Vikings 17-7. And in Cleveland, Green Bay over the Browns in the early going, 7-3. Jordan Love hitting Dontavian Wicks with a TD pass. Still to come tonight, we've got Tampa Bay, Cincinnati, San Francisco, Tennessee. And the storyline around San Francisco now is that we're right back to where we started. They seem like they're the team that is going to be best positioned to have Brandon Ayuk on the field for them this year. Ayuk's been a source of trade rumors going back to the draft when 5 teams apparently were willing to meet the 49ers asking price, but they couldn't get a deal done here. It's been New England who's gotten shut down. Cleveland's gotten shut down. Pittsburgh, the team that most likely could get a deal done, but now it seems like the ball's in San Francisco's court. They take on the Titans tonight. Seattle and the LA Chargers will go at it, and the New Orleans Saints will play in Arizona to conclude tonight's preseason slate.
There you have it. Preseason week 1. Finally, football is back. We're about a month away from the start of the regular season. The Jaguars rookies making their preseason debut tonight, including second-round pick defensive tackle Mason Smith out of LSU. I mean, he's a guy who missed 2 seasons ago, came back in his final year at LSU and moved inside to defensive tackle for the first time in his career. And now in the NFL, Mike, he's so far shown that he can hang on the practice field at least. This is another step tonight.
Yeah, look, he's a specimen, right? When this guy came into LSU, he's one of the most highly recruited players in the country by some services. I think he might have even been number 1 coming out of high school and was projected as a future top 10 pick. Injuries derailed his career at LSU, but the talent's still in there. The Jags took a chance in the middle of the second round, and early returns look like it's paying off.
I caught up with him after practice this week, and after 2 weeks of camp, it's time to play another team.
Yeah, man, I'm definitely excited, just to see all my preparation and my hard work this training camp, this offseason, be put into fruition and put, on the field and everything like that, man. So I'm excited just to go against somebody else.
Ryan Nielsen earlier this week was talking about your improvement from the start of camp to when pads went on to now going into preseason week 1. How have you felt that over the first couple weeks of camp?
Just putting my foot forward and continuing to progress in my technique, only playing on the inside, this past year in college was my first year playing defensive tackle. So, having that, extra year and just having that, that progression and the things that the older guys tell me and what to do and what not to do, and just being open-minded. Like I said, man, your way ain't always the best way. So me just being open-minded and continuing to try to grow and, be the best I could be.
Being only a year or so into defensive tackle, what are some of the challenges, the differences from playing outside?
Playing outside my freshman, I feel like it's a lot not that it's a lot faster, but it's a lot less that you can get. In a defensive tackle position, you can get a whole different type of blocking schemes, and it happens a lot faster than on you right now. So just having that year of experience under my belt, and going into this year, it's a lot easier for me to dissect the blocks and just be able to play my technique true to the game.
Mason Smith with us, Jaguars defensive tackle. How has this veteran group taken to you, the new guy, kind of the young guy in the room? Obviously, the young guy in the room. Yeah. There's a lot of veteran players on that defensive line, especially on the interior.
Yeah. They've taken me in with open arms, man, and just being able to learn from older guys like Roy, Eric, D-Ham, Led, even everybody in the room. Just being able to cope with them guys and just hear them out. Like I said before, your way ain't always the best way, so it's just about, fulfilling everything that you got going on and, just listening to certain things. You can't listen to everything, but, listen to certain things and take things here and there and, put your own spin on it and, it'll be good. But just, taking the coaching, taking the constructive criticism from my peers, and it's been working out fine.
Mason, tell us about the one-on-one drills when pads are on finally, going against this offensive line. What can you take away from some of that? And tell us about the interior guys on this offensive line and how they help you every day.
I think we have an amazing group, namely, Sheriff. I go against him every day. And, just knowing that he's been doing it at a very high level for a very long time now. And Shadley, at the same thing, doing it for a very long time. Just taking pointers from them, like every time, all the time after I go against Sheriff, he give me little pointers here and there, what I need to do and what gave up, why didn't I win the rep, so just listening to them on those things, and they're very physical, and they make me come to work every single day prepared, to strap my chin strap in, and, I know it's going to be a tough day. But, I run to things like that, so it's like, for me, I love that. I love the competition, so it just makes work every day better for me.
Couple weeks into camp now. How's your stamina? How's your health? And then are you ready to play pretty deep into this game?
Yeah, I feel like my health is good. I feel like my stamina's pretty well. Just a couple of things that I can work on here and there, like I said, but, I'm definitely ready to play. I'm definitely ready to see a different color jersey.
That's Mason Smith, second-round draft pick, and the design is to maybe roll some of these guys through a little bit more. Mason Smith will be in the mix a good bit.
Yeah, the thing I like, and there are a lot of things to like about what we've seen and heard about Mason Smith to this point, JP, I thought this guy projects as down the line more of a 3 technique, a guy who can penetrate, but the stoutness against the run has stood out in some of these fully padded practices. So I think he's a guy you can play at either interior position. I think he can even move to the outside and play some big end for you here in a 4-3. And they want the versatility because they want to give you a lot of different looks along that defensive front this year.
Guys just can't really touch him in blocking. I mean, he's got long arms.
Right.
He's just a tough block.
He's powerful. He's quick. He's got, he's a guy, he kind of in the mold of Eric Armstead in terms of the way he's built, and we haven't seen Armstead out there, but there are going to be occasions where you've got both of them lined up next to each other this year, and it's going to be a little bit of pick your poison for the offensive line.
So the interview available in the official Jaguars podcast network, and coming up shortly, players who will not dress in tonight's game. Plus, a fantasy forecast in the preseason.
Why not?
Yeah, why not, right? It's always time for a fantasy forecast. Why not? And we'll hear from Frank Frangie in the broadcast booth coming up. Up next, though, a pregame Huddle Up podcast. Bucky Brooks and John Oehser in the broadcast booth. We're about an hour and a half from kickoff. It's preseason week 1. The Chiefs and the Jaguars coming up. This is the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
I want that. The Make It Ford Summer Sales Event is on, so make it your best summer ever with Ford. Now's the best time to get our best deals on a great selection of Ford trucks and SUVs, like the Ford Explorer, the Ford Bronco family, Ford F-Series, and the all-electric F-150 Lightning. These are the deals you've been waiting for, so don't wait. It's the Make It Ford Summer Sales Event, so make it yours. Make it now at your Ford dealer today.
We're excited to announce a special activation at select training camps. Join us as we celebrate the Corner at Deb Store, coming soon to the Eastside community. Operated by Goodwill Industries of North Florida, the Deb Store will help change lives in the historic Out East through fresh foods, education, and career opportunities. In partnership with various community partners, this project will create a space where residents can thrive. Watch out for the Deb Store van at select training camps this July and August, where you can enjoy free samples and learn how to support this initiative. Hey Jaguars fans, sack those snack cravings with Dippin' Dots, the original Beat It ice cream brand. Grab a cup of your favorite flavor or discover a new flavor from one of the Dippin' Dots locations right here at EverBank Stadium. Get ready to taste the fun with Dippin' Dots.
I want my Dippin' Dots.
Are you ready for some football? Well, you are now, thanks to Ticketmaster. As the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL, Ticketmaster's got the best way to take it to the house when it comes to being there live. They're the safest and most convenient marketplace to score fully verified Jaguars tickets. And even if your plans get broken up or worse, turned over, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell your seats. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars.
Brooks Rehabilitation is proud to be the official rehabilitation partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. We are here for them, and we are here for you. Ranked #1 physical rehabilitation hospital in Florida by U.S. News and World Report, our playbook is individualized treatment and exceptional care to get you back to living your life. Brooks has cutting-edge technology and therapy solutions in every care setting, treating sports injury, orthopedics, brain, spinal injuries, and more. Go beyond your expectations with Brooks Rehabilitation.
JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center. The Publix Tailgate show continues. Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. The Chiefs and the Jaguars in preseason week 1. It's a kickoff of 7 minutes after 7 o'clock Eastern time. The 2024 NFL season is almost here, and you don't want to miss these matchups in 2024. Whether you want to become a season ticket member, catch 3 or more games with Bundle at the Bank, or experience the season with a Prowl Pass, there's a plan for every fan. Get locked in at Jaguars.com/tickets or call 904-633-2000. Well, no official inactives are due at this time. This would be the time before a regular kickoff on Sunday. In the preseason, you don't have to have inactives, but the Jaguars have announced a number of players that will not dress for tonight's game, including safety Darnell Savage. He's had the orange jersey with a shoulder issue in training camp. He should be fairly close in the coming weeks. Keelan Robinson hasn't practiced in pads yet, the rookie running back out of Texas. He will not play tonight. Tyson Campbell, cornerback, inactive for tonight's game. Andrew Wingard with a knee issue, hasn't practiced in a little bit, and Doug Pederson said earlier it could be a while for him. So Wingard not available tonight. Stephen Jones, offensive line, not available. Ezra Cleveland, the left guard, will not play tonight with a heel issue, more of a just in case, not a big deal. He's getting close to getting back. Anton Harrison coming off a concussion, right tackle, will not play. And rookie defensive tackle Jordan Jefferson from LSU, inactive and unavailable, let's say, for tonight. What about the Chiefs?
Yeah, as you mentioned, no official inactive list, but a lot of guys that are not expected to play tonight, including left guard Joe Thuney, who has been ruled out. He had a pec injury during the playoffs. He has been activated, but Andy Reid said he would not play. You've got 3 players remaining on injury list, so they're not going to go. Safety Justin Reed with a quad. Defensive end B.J. Thompson's been on the active non-football illness list since suffering a seizure and cardiac arrest back in June. Defensive end Charles Omenihu on the PUP list after suffering a torn ACL in the AFC Championship game last year. Other players that are very questionable to suit up include linebacker Nick Bolton, dealing with an elbow injury that he suffered in practice at the end of July. Defensive tackle Chris Jones has dealt with a groin injury, missed the last couple of practices of the week, so you don't expect him to get forced out there today. Other guys that are banged up in a variety of capacities, Jaron Hayek, a wide receiver, cornerback Kelvin Joseph, offensive lineman Wanya Morris. Wide receiver Kadarius Toney, man, he really needs to get on the field and make an impression. He's dealt with an ankle injury and back tightness during training camp so far, and he's buried on that depth chart. And defensive tackle Derek Nottie passed his physical, removed from the PUP list, but just came off this last week following last season's tricep injury, so you wouldn't expect him to play today either.
A couple more notes on the Jaguars players not playing tonight. Tyson Campbell and Darnell Savage most likely will go through warm-ups tonight on the field, but will not play. So if you're in the stadium early, you see them warming up, they're out. They're not going to be playing. They're just warming up tonight. Let's go to the broadcast booth. 2 guys that are always ready to play. It's Bucky Brooks and John Oehser. It's a pregame huddle up, and we're back at it, boys. How we doing?
We're ready.
Ready. You know, nothing like
for
preseason ball, ready to go. John's up here ready, excited.
It's almost as good as OTAs, JP.
Just a little better.
A little bit, I'd say. It's an actual football game tonight, and the starters will get some time in this game. First quarter, both sides. You know, Andy Reid likes to do that, and Doug Pederson, we might have heard, has worked for Andy Reid, so he likes to do that as well, and you get a little bit of an opportunity, Bucky, to see at least some kind of starters going against each other, though there's no scheming, none of that stuff's going on. At least it's some excitement here in the first quarter, at least.
Yeah, it should be an exciting first quarter. The reason why you want to play your guys now, you want to get off to a fast start. And even though the preseason has been cut down from 4 games to 3 games, you're trying to treat it like a traditional approach. Let these guys play 2-3 series, maybe a first quarter. Then next week, let them extend maybe to halftime to give them the kind of reps that they feel good about what is going to happen when the regular season kicks off. It's really a great opportunity for them to kind of show what they've been showing on the practice field. Let's do it in a game and feel real good about going into the next week.
Yeah, and I don't want to put too much pressure on that because, if they don't get a touchdown early, are they going to be that discouraged? Probably not. But, you've been working so much and reading so much and hearing everybody talk about it. You want to come out and you want to look good and you want to be leading when the starters go out. That's sort of how I always, couch it when I'm reporting it. How do they look when the starters went out, and then what kind of depth do they have afterward? We'll find out. I anticipate the defense playing with confidence and playing fast. JP, you and I talked a lot this week. That's sort of what I want to feel from the defense. It doesn't matter to me that much if they, absolutely shut the Chiefs out, but you want them to feel like they they know what they're doing and they're confident in the first game under Ryan Nielsen.
All right, guys, we all want to see what Trevor Lawrence brings to the table here in 2024, but let's put him aside for now. Give us a player that you'll have your eyes on tonight because you're really curious about what kind of performance we're going to get.
Well, look, I'm going to start just with the quarterback, and I know it's just a preseason game, but I think it's really important that Trevor comes out and shows and proves to people that he is on point. Considering the way the team finished, everyone wants to know, how is this team going to bounce back this year? I think it's really important for Trevor and that first-team offense to hit the ground running and start off really, really fast and really effective.
I thought we were supposed to put the quarterback aside.
That was the question, John. John knows the assignment.
Long flight from L.A.
Yeah, that's sort of I would have liked to go on quarterback too. I was going to go quarterback. I had an answer, but I was told I couldn't. So I feel like I've just been cheated on the test. But so I'll go chalk a little bit with Brian Thomas. I don't anticipate huge numbers out of a rookie, but wouldn't you love to see a 20-yard pass, something that sort of shows you what he's shown a little bit? I'm not going to panic if I don't see it, but boy, wouldn't the fans love to see a Trevor Lawrence to Brian Thomas, even if it's a 20-yard pass down the middle, down the seam, something to get you excited about. So I'll go Brian Thomas because I'm going to follow the rules.
Okay, so I'll follow the rules. I go quarterback of the defense. How about Devin Lloyd making a transition from weak side linebacker to Mike linebacker? I think there are a lot of questions as to why they made that move to put him in the middle. Let's see how it pans out and see what the plans are for him.
There you go, Bucky. That's Bucky Brooks.
He's coming back.
John
Good
Moser
rally.
From the Huddle Up podcast on the broadcast booth tonight. So a little more on this defense. We heard from Mason Smith, and, this is a defensive front. They're going to play a lot of 4 down, right? We've heard from Trayvon Walker. He'll play with his hand on the ground. Josh Hines-Allen. But what about the interior of this group, Bucky? How do you feel this could go? I mean, we may not see a whole lot tonight, but in theory, a guy like Mason Smith, a rookie, is going to contribute this season in a big way up front.
Yeah, I think the spotlight is on him. Can he work his way into the rotation and be a big contributor right away? When you watch him at LSU, he has tremendous talent, and he flashed dominant ability but didn't consistently do it. Can he find his way in the pros where he ends up being a better pro than college player because he becomes a dominant player on the inside? Playing alongside the guys that are on that front line, he has a potential to get a lot of one-on-one matchups. If he can be a disruptive force on the interior, it's really going to open things up for the rest of the guys.
Yeah, I kind of don't care who makes the plays early, guys. But out of Trayvon, Josh Hines-Allen, Devon Hamilton, guys, you want to see energy and impact. You want to see sort of, is somebody there able to get disruption? Do you feel like if they go 6 plays in the first series, did you feel like there were guys beating their guys on a couple of them where they were getting that penetration with that 4-man front? To me, Eric Armstead's not playing, but Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker, Devon Hamilton, it feels like there's a core there that can be a dominant group. Let's see some energy and some flash from that group.
Guys, when Ryan Nielsen got here, he said really his defense is kind of predicated on how his cornerbacks play, and they're going to be up and aggressive in people's faces, and that obviously coincides with your pass rush and how that works hand in hand. But among that group of corners, who has stood out to you so far in training camp?
Man, there's so many young guys that I'm really excited about. I think Jerry Jones is a guy that I'm really looking forward to watching, not only because he came in expected to play inside, but there are plans for him to be outside. If he has that kind of versatility, it's not only about the nickel package, it's about him potentially being a starter. So I want to pay close attention to him and see what he looks like.
Yeah, I think as a group, Jones, Campbell, Ronald Darby feel like a group that can be a really good three. Tyson won't play tonight, obviously, but, Ronald Darby there. Also something to watch, the group right behind that, Monteric Brown, Prince, Christian Braswell, has looked really good in camp. Which of those maybe two guys are going to play their way into mattering on Sundays? I think that's something to watch after the first series of the second quarter through the third quarter. Guys in that group that are standing out. I'm not sure you have 6 on game day. So which of that bunch is going to be active on game day? Which of that bunch are the coaches going to trust if there's injuries later in the season? I think that's something to watch tonight.
All right, final thought, guys. Our first look in person at the dynamic kickoff, the new rule in the National Football League this year. It will look different. It will feel different. Doug Pederson, I think, said it best this week. You know what? We're just going to kick it into the box and see what happens. So you're just going to get some things on tape, I guess, tonight, right?
Yeah, is that the way you approach it, Bucky, is just sort of, hey, let's run this a couple of times and see how it feels for the players because they've never done it before?
Yeah.
Or is there, I assume no trickery tonight.
Well, no, I think everyone is trying to get a feel for what it's going to look like and how to staff the personnel on those groups. There's been a lot of conversation, a lot of consternation about what is going to happen with the kickoff. I think you kick it in the box a few times, see if you can cover it. Worst case, when you get to the regular season, just kick it out the end zone, give the ball to the third.
You're trying to get some reps with it, I guess.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm not anticipating a whole lot of, nuance with it tonight. I guess let's just see what happens.
Just play it out, and that's what the preseason is for. Bucky, good luck on television tonight.
Should be a lot of fun. Looking forward to it.
You seem excited about it.
I am very excited. I'm very excited about the preseason.
He's excited. You can feel it up here. You can't necessarily hear it in the voice.
They'll let him talk about Trevor Lawrence. So.
Oh, yeah. You can talk about Trevor all you want.
Have restrictions. Have restrictions. Have restrictions. I'm ready to go now.
John, have a good night doing whatever it is you're going to do tonight.
Guys, we enjoyed it. See ya.
This is John Ozier and Bucky Brooks. Of course, the weekly Huddle Up with Bucky Brooks show, Wednesdays at 4 on Jaguars.com and the Jaguars YouTube channel. We're about 20 minutes away from Jaguars Radio Network coverage. Countdown to kickoff starts at 6 o'clock. We'll have a fantasy forecast next, though, and Frank Frangie in the broadcast booth. The Chiefs and the Jaguars in preseason week 1. This is the Publix Tailgate show on Jaguars Radio.
It's game time, Jaguars fans, and Publix knows that football is all about pairings. A high-scoring offense paired with a stingy defense. A rocket-armed QB paired with a dynamic wide receiver. And at Publix, you can pair hot deli chicken tenders with savory dips, delicious sub-platters with ice-cold beverages, and you can pair these tailgate essentials with an entire parking lot full of Jaguars fans chanting, Duval! Gear up for your tailgate at Publix, the official supermarket of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
We're excited to announce a special activation at select training camps. Join us as we celebrate the Corner at Deb Store, coming soon to the Eastside community. Operated by Goodwill Industries of North Florida, the Deb Store will help change lives in the historic Out East through fresh foods, education, and career opportunities. In partnership with various community partners, this project will create a space where residents can thrive. Watch out for the Deb Store van at select training camps this July and August, where you can enjoy free samples and learn how to support this initiative. Are you ready for some football? Well, you are now, thanks to Ticketmaster. As the official ticket marketplace of the Jacksonville Jaguars and the NFL, Ticketmaster's got the best way to take it to the house when it comes to being there live. They're the safest and most convenient marketplace to score fully verified Jaguars tickets. And even if your plans get broken up or worse, turned over, Ticketmaster gives you more flexibility to sell your seats. So get those touchdown celebrations ready and score your tickets today at Ticketmaster.com/Jaguars. Touchdown at Jaguars away games when you fly nonstop from Jacksonville International Airport. Join the Jaguars in Miami and Houston. Watch them win in Philly, Detroit, Nashville, and Las Vegas. All the other Jaguars games are just one short connection away. And if airport parking has you stressed, be sure to visit the Jax Airport website before traveling to the terminal. On it, you'll find information about the status of on-airport parking in real time. See if your favorite areas are available or if you need to call an audible. Visit flyjax.com for more information.
To aim higher,
Run faster. It's what elite athletes do. Always strive for better. At UF Health, we have that same DNA to not just treat a stroke, but to create a fleet of mobile stroke treatment units, to not just do research, but to use AI to save lives with one of the most powerful supercomputers in academia. We believe, like athletes, that human progress has no finish line. UF Health, National Medical Center for Team USA.
Frank Frangie here. When you want barbecue in Jacksonville, you want Bono's Pit Barbecue. You can find Bono's locations all around town and on game day at EverBank Stadium, because Bono's is the official barbecue of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Over 70 years of authentic Southern Pit Barbecue. We are the local barbecue joint in BBQval for generations of people in Jacksonville. Go to bonosbarbecue.com to learn more or call 904-880-8310 today. And remember, if you don't see a pit, it ain't legit.
This is the Publix Tailgate Show. JP Shadrick with Mike Dempsey from the Hyundai Studios at the Miller Electric Center, just across from EverBank Stadium. The Chiefs and the Jaguars coming up. Kickoff just after 7 o'clock at the bank. And you're invited to a very special evening with John Legend, live in concert at Daly's Place Saturday, August 24th. Don't miss this very special, intimate performance. And for tickets and info, visit dailysplace.com. It's the preseason. It's preseason week 1, but it's always fantasy football season.
Well, what it is fantasy draft season, right? And for a lot of people, JP, they kind of sleep away the summer when it comes to fantasy football, and that's fine, right? And they're not all crazy people like me. How many drafts do you think I've completed at this
Let's
point?
see. What did you do last year? 20-something?
No, that's 20 leagues where I have to manage, right? A lot more drafts on top of that.
Oh,
where
boy.
I don't.
I'd say 50.
I'm north of 200. Okay?
200
Yes,
drafts?
North of 200. I put in the work so I can tell you what's happening, so you can just, kind of wake up in August and go, hey, I'm ready to draft. All right. So here, what I decided to do today is take where the Jaguars and the Chiefs are going on average. This is the average of the consensus rankings on a lot of different platforms, a lot of different scoring systems, but it gives you a pretty good idea of where you need to invest if you're going to get these players on your team. Now, keep it in mind, if you're playing in the league with a bunch of Jaguar fans, you're probably going to have to bump things up a round and a half in some cases. Travis Etienne, out of all the players on both teams, on average is going higher than any of them. He's going 24th overall, which is right at the end of the second round in a 12-team league. He's the 10th running back off the board on average. Then it falls down for the Jags to Christian Kirk. He's the first Jaguar receiver. He's been taken kind of as a middle-of-the-pack wide receiver 3. And if you start 3, he would be a starter for you. He's going 58th overall as the 30th wide receiver off the board. Evan Ingram, tight end 8. That seems a little bit low to me, particularly in leagues that award a point per reception. We don't expect Evan Ingram to have 114 catches again. That was circumstances that led to that. But 66th overall is where he's going. Brian Thomas Jr. going well ahead of Gabe Davis. So if you think Gabe Davis is going to get more targets, and I think that's reasonable to expect, maybe Brian Thomas more the big play guy, you can wait several rounds. Brian Thomas is going at pick 101 on average. He's the 47th wide receiver off the board. Davis, the 61st at pick 142, and right in between them, Trevor Lawrence is QB 16. Now, again, local leagues, that's not going to happen. Somebody's going to draft Trevor Lawrence as their starter, so act accordingly. But overall, the consensus is he's coming off the board at pick 121. For the Chiefs, no surprise that Travis Kelce is the first player on that roster being drafted on average 3 picks into round 3. Maybe a surprise for some people is that he's only the second tight end coming off the board. People are following that big season from Sam Laporta. Laporta's been drafted on average in the second round. Question is he going to repeat a double-digit touchdown season? Then it's Isaiah Pacheco, pick 30, as he is running back 13, I believe, coming off the board. Actually, maybe running back 11 right now. Patrick Mahomes going in the early 4th round on average, a third quarterback coming off at pick 39. Then it's Rashee Rice. Wondering if he's going to get suspended or not for some of the off-field troubles he has. If he doesn't, I think he's a bargain at wide receiver 36 right now on average, pick 72. The rookie Xavier Worthy going as wide receiver 41. And I think the bargain here is Hollywood Brown. I think Marquise Hollywood Brown may be the most impactful fantasy receiver on that team, not named Travis Kelce, obviously, and you can get him with the 95th pick.
I don't play fantasy football, so explain to me why Patrick Mahomes would be so far down.
Oh, I mean, quarterbacks all score a ton of points, right? So if you miss out on Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, you can wait. Kirk Cousins last year before he got hurt was a top 5 fantasy quarterback. He goes around the range Trevor Lawrence goes. So, people get enamored with the upside of these big-time guys. Anthony Richardson, a lot of people are expecting him to be a big-time performer because those rushing yards pile up faster than the passing yards do. But you can get the discount Anthony Richardson by waiting and taking a shot on the rookie Jaden Daniels and then coming back and taking Jared Goff as a super safe option, Matthew Stafford later on. And so many of these quarterbacks are lingering that have great weapons that you just don't offset yourself compared to your opponents. You're better off taking running backs, receivers, and elite tight end in those middle rounds rather than going early on a quarterback.
Well, take it from Mike Dempsey, and he knows his fantasy
I only got
sports.
a couple hundred drafts in, so, hopefully I'm steering you right.
There's your fantasy forecast from Mike Dempsey. We're about 10 minutes away from countdown to kickoff on the Jaguars Radio Network, presented by the University of Florida, the #1 university in the U.S. News and World Report's #1 state for education. We head to the broadcast booth now at EverBank Stadium and have a discussion with a distinguished alumnus of the University of Florida, Jaguars play-by-play announcer Frank Frangie in the booth for the first time, and here we are. It is preseason week 1 at long last, Frank.
It's a good start when I get distinguished. That may be the first of my career, JP, so thank you for that. But golly, it's a beautiful day. It's hot now, but it's a gorgeous day, and crisp uniforms and road uniforms and home uniforms, and the field looks fantastic. And we waited a long time for this season, JP. I'm really excited about it. I know you are as well.
Frank, the #1 thing on your mind tonight, what is the one thing? Let's take away health. You want everybody to be healthy. Everybody gets that. Is it the new-look defense? Is it the high-paid quarterback in the offense? Is it the dynamic kickoff? What's #1 on your priority list tonight?
All of those above, JP, but the defense is first and foremost. I want to see how it looks. And I love the fact that since Andy Reid's going to play his starters, you get to see it against the best competition you can imagine. I can't wait to see the 4-3 look. Josh and Trayvon with their hand on the ground the whole time, how the linebackers look different. I can't wait to watch that. We keep hearing that Ryan Nielsen believes in an attacking defense and taking the fight to them. Mike, I heard you and Pete talking about that earlier, which is exactly right. I can't wait to watch that, JP. I think of all the stuff here, that's first for me, watching how this new defense looks.
Frank, I know you know Doug Pederson well, and I know you got a chance to talk to him this week. What do you think is going to be different about his approach, if anything? What is he emphasizing in 2024, maybe more strenuously than he's done in the past?
If there's one thing that stands out, it's communication on defense. I think it really bothered him, Mike, the fact that there were too many times the defense would look to the sidelines with their palms in the air, not really sure what they were going to do. So I think communication on defense is first and foremost. I think that trumps everything else. And then finding a way to try and stay healthy. I think the injuries really got to this team a little bit. I think that's a thing. So to me, listen, I could go through a long list, Mike, as you know, short yardage offense and Trevor taking better care of the ball. There's a lot of elements there. But I think communication on defense really bothered him. Remember, he made a staff change a day after the season ended, and that's not to disparage the people that were here, Mike Caldwell and others, but that really bugged him. I think the way they communicate, I would think that's issue one for him in his mind, the conversations he and I have had.
Frank Frangie with us in the broadcast booth. Give us a new face for the Jaguars, be it a free agent or a rookie that you're most excited to see on the grass tonight.
Well, I'll tell you this. If I can go newish, if you'll let me go newish, I can't wait to watch what Tank Bigsby becomes in his second year in the league. JP, I know that's not exactly what you asked, but I think all the guys from last year, I say all of them, Brenton Strange, Parker Washington, Tank Bigsby had really good off seasons. They understand the league now, so those guys probably trump anything else for me. I can't wait to see if they've developed, particularly Tank, if he's developed the way I think he has. As for truly new guys, we all want to watch number 7, right? He's really fast. If there's one thing he gives you that I'm not sure we've had a lot of since, Jimmy Smith maybe, is a big physical guy that's that fast, that explosive and that fast. We haven't had many 215, 220-pound receivers out here that can outrun about everybody, JP. So I really can't wait to watch him, see if he stretches the field the way we hope. But I really want to watch some of those second-year guys and see if they take that step forward.
They taught you new-ish at the University of Florida.
Yes, they did. Yes,
That's great. Have a great call tonight, and Happy New Year. We'll see you.
Thanks, fellas. We appreciate it.
It's Frank Frangie in the broadcast booth. across the street at EverBank Stadium. And, there's a lot to watch. That's a good point about Tank. That a guy that, lost the ball a little bit early in the season. They lost a little trust in him. And he's taking it to heart, I think, this offseason to try to get back. Let's see it in real time.
Oh, that's the important thing, right? Because he had a terrific offseason last year. But you see the explosiveness. You see the pass-catching chops as well with both of these backs. Obviously, Travis Etienne, we know, is a very good receiver. But we've seen that quite a bit in the practices I've been out there, JP, getting Tank Bigsby involved in that as well. And if he could take just a little bit of the burden off Travis Etienne, hopefully that can make Etienne even more efficient on fewer touches.
Yeah, it's a long season, right? Get everybody into December healthy and with some gas left in the tank.
Yeah, Etienne playing through a rib injury last year that I don't think he necessarily would have if they had more confidence in Bigsby at that point.
Up next, Jaguars Radio Network coverage. We will have a countdown to kickoff. Top stories of the day. We'll hear from Pride of the Jaguars running back Fred Taylor. The final word before kickoff with Jaguars head coach Doug Pederson as well. The Chiefs and the Jaguars coming up just over an hour away from preseason week 1. This has been the Publix Tailgate Show on Jaguars Radio.